A lot of guys.
Yeah, a lot of guys
come in and share their story. And then once again, thank you, Wanda. When you were talking about beatings, rapes, all that, necessarily, because there's people out there that, women specifically, that are listening, what can you tell them about this, Wanda, that people like young girls think today that they're going to use, they're going to have a nice time, nothing's going to happen to them, they're going to meet nice gentlemen who like using with them. Is this the scenario, or in your specific case, tell us a little bit about what happened?
Well, actually, it started out that way. It started out to be fun and entertaining and stuff, and I don't know, somewhere along the way, I lost control over it, and then all of a sudden I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I started to do what other people wanted to do, and it was all based on getting one more. And before I knew it, it just got violent and vicious.
When did it stop being fun? When?
Uh,
I mean, like 1 year in, 5 years in, 10 years in?
Probably, I would say, like about 6 or 7 years in.
Okay, so how many years did you keep using and it wasn't fun anymore?
Because it stopped being fun early on, but it would happen, so it wouldn't happen consecutively all the time.
So sometimes it was fun and sometimes it wasn't,
right.
Which traditionally happens. You know, all the bad stuff doesn't happen consecutively.
All the time, right? So I would just convince myself it was just that one time.
Yeah.
It's not always like that.
Bad luck.
Right, and I would just convince myself that, it wasn't that bad,
But there had to be people telling you, come on, Wanda, stop. Anybody? Is there anybody?
Yeah, a lot of people were telling me, especially my family,
And that's where denial is so strong, right?
Right.
You deny everything. You don't recognize any of the voices that are calling you.
Right, and my family was taking care of my responsibilities. Like, I had a child in this process, and my mother practically raised her.
Wow.
And this is all in New York?
Well, it started out in New York, and then I worked my way up to Puerto Rico because my mom moved
Up to Puerto Rico?
Right.
It feels like that sometimes.
Yeah, my mom moved us to Puerto Rico thinking that she can get us away from New York, from the atmosphere, and that it would change. But, drugs are cheaper in Puerto Rico, and they're even better quality, compared to New York. And, of course, I just did more drugs. And then my mom would do this all the time. Like, she would just put me on a plane and send me somewhere, trying to get me away. And then the last place that she sent me to was to Wisconsin.
With every relocation, though, did you have that thought, like many people do, that says, all right, I'm going to start fresh here, I'm going to be different here?
Every time I did it different,
right?
Yeah, like I'm not going to use these drugs, and I'll
just use this.
Right, I'll stay with the legal drugs or different stuff. I kept trying different
And the problem is you take yourself with you.
That's right. You follow.
Wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah, the geographical change doesn't work.
Wanda, but getting back to the female aspect of, how difficult is it for a woman to stop using drugs? Is it harder than a man? I mean, we all see, like in movies, for example, and we see women who have like unlimited access to drugs just because they're females. Is that true, or is that a little bit of stereotype of Hollywood?
No, that's not true at all. It's like, I believe it's more difficult for women.
Why?
Because where you're exposed to so much more, it's so much harder for you to, first of all, women are viewed, especially in the street, as a sexual object, and that's all you're good for, and that's all, you're called upon for, and you're always exchanging your body for drugs.
Right.
And so you're exposed to so many things, like illnesses and men that, that are violent and vicious, and, like gang rapes and all kinds of stuff, So...
In other words, it's not always free.
Right.
It starts off free.
Yeah.
Right.
It starts free. Here, you can buy you a drink, here, do this, but then there's always a cost to it.
There's always a price.
Yeah.
Tell us, how